If you want to make money online, there is nothing more valuable than creating a magnetic personal brand. And I'm not talking about creating posts online that sound witty or just for entertainment purposes. I'm talking about the kind of content that keeps people hooked and wanting them coming back over and over again to enjoy your content and take part in your journey. And I've realized that there's a set of non-obvious principles that every successful creator uses to actually get them to create magnetic personal brands. So in this video, I'm going to break down the 4-step process to create a magnetic personal brand that keeps people hooked and wanting them to come back over and over again. So if you use this, it'll help you build that magnetic personal brand, help you build a business, and help elevate your influence online. By the way, if you don't know me, my name's David, the owner of Instagram's Millionaires Incorporated, and I've got 150,000 followers and I've gone viral over and over again using many of these principles itself. But before we talk about building a personal brand, we first need to identify what a personal brand is and how it becomes useful. Because most people hear the term personal brand and immediately think influencer, as in someone just dancing on TikTok, someone posting their food, or someone trying to become internet famous. But that's not what a personal brand is. And the simplest way to think about it is like this. When people hear your name or see your face or come across your content, they have immediate certain thoughts and relate you to a certain topic or outcome. Maybe it's fitness, maybe it's discipline, maybe it's mindset, maybe it's family values. But when they see your face, they can instantly tie you to a certain niche and a certain outcome and certain advice. But whatever it is, you become known for something and someone that people want to tune into over and over again regularly. And that's where the opportunity lies, because people don't trust brands or businesses anymore. They trust who they tune into every day. Think about it like this. If I asked you whether you would buy from a random internet business or someone you tune into every single day, who would be the more likely choice or who you'd buy from? The internet personality, of course. The one with a strong personal brand that you trust. I remember seeing one creator online whose entire content was built around driving DoorDash, but not just driving DoorDash for the sake of it. He actually had a bigger mission than driving DoorDash. It was actually to buy his girlfriend a diamond ring so he could propose. So his DoorDash driving was the vehicle which he could actually use to create wealth to buy that ring. So his entire content strategy was built around that. And as a result, you tune in to every single post about his journey, his updates, his thoughts, his struggles, anything to do with his journey in his mission to achieve buying that diamond ring for his girlfriend. And there's another creator who I follow who's got a strong personal brand, and her entire content was built around a career pivot where she no longer wanted to go in a certain direction with what she was doing, and she was transitioning to something which felt more lighthearted to her, something which she could relate to, and something that she would be proud of. So when it comes to personal branding, it isn't that you're interested in the thing that they're doing, you're interested in the journey, the person they're becoming, the struggles they overcome, because sometimes it actually relates to you and as a person and what you're going through, and you want to see what they do to get over these hurdles and obstacles. And so you tune in to see the development and the progress that that person actually makes. So sometimes a great personal brand isn't built around teaching or information. It's actually built around the connection between yourself and the person or the creator delivering the information. So if you break it down, there are truly only 4 things why someone actually tunes in to watch you online. First, people need a reason to care about you. Is it your story? Is it your mission? Or is it something you're trying to overcome? Maybe they see part of themselves in your story and your struggle, and they want to see what you do or follow along on your journey so they can feel related to you and maybe see a way forward that they can overcome what they're going through as well. Second, they need to know what you stand for. What are your values, your beliefs, your views on the world? Third, they need to see growth. As humans, we are naturally drawn to transformations. So if we can see someone going through a transformation, we tend to follow along to see how that journey is progressing. Because we love seeing someone become something they were not and overcoming those hurdles. We feel a sense of attachment to that outcome, to that journey. And fourth, they need a reason to come back. You need to trigger something inside them that wants them to wonder what's going to happen next and how things are going to turn out over time. And when you get those 4 things right, people stop following content and they start following the person. And that's when you've built a real personal brand. Your content gets more views, you get more followers, and you get more opportunity to actually monetize it down the line. Now let's dive into the other 3 pillars of what builds a magnetic personal brand. And the first pillar of building a personal brand is identity. Or put another way, why should people actually remember you? Because here's the reality. Every single day, people are scrolling past thousands of pieces of content. Thousands of creators, thousands of posts, thousands of differences of views. And most of them are forgotten in the blink of an eye. And not because they're bad, but because they typically stand for nothing. And when you don't stand for anything, people are forgotten quite easily. The strongest personal brands have a very strong, clear identity. When they see their content or they see their face, they instantly know exactly what that person is about and what they stand for and what their core values are. Think about it like this. When I say David Goggins, what's the first thing that comes to mind? Discipline, perseverance, strength. When I say Alex Hormozy, what comes to your mind then? Business, offers, entrepreneurship, success. When I say Mr. Beast, you think entertainment, grand gestures, giveaways, things like that. But whether you follow them or not is irrelevant. You actually remember them. You know what they stand for, you know what their values are, and you know what they do. Because in this modern age, attention is one of the most valuable assets you can get. If you've got someone's attention, you've got them. Now, if we break identity down further, there are only really two things which stand out. The first is your belief, and the second is your people. And let's start with beliefs. Now, the reason why most people don't stand out is because they sound like everybody else on the internet. They repeat the same advice, they repeat the same motivational quotes, and the same recycled opinions. Work hard, stay disciplined, motivate yourself, blah, blah, blah. Same thing every day. And while none of these things are wrong, they're just not memorable. And the creators that are remembered, they have perspective that allows them to stand out. The ones who challenge conventional thinking, the ones who make people stop scrolling and think to themselves, I've never looked at it like that before, and actually get to thinking about what the person's saying, and they kind of lean into that person, and they get value given to them, and they want to learn more from them as well. So for an example, most fitness creators might say motivation is important, whereas a memorable creator or someone with a strong personal brand might say something like, motivation isn't your problem, your environment is. You can see here the second creator challenges a belief around motivation and gets you thinking in a different way. And as a result, you immediately become more interesting. So ask yourself, what do you believe in your space that most people don't? What do I think people are getting wrong? And what frustrates me about the advice that everyone keeps getting from everybody? When you can answer those questions, you often find the foundation of your actual personal brand. Now, the second part of your identity is your people. And this is where most pet creators make a huge mistake. They try to appeal to everyone, but the trick of building a magnetic personal brand is to niche down and start with an individual in mind and get very, very narrow on who you're trying to reach. Because the problem is when you're speaking to everyone, you end up speaking to no one. And the brands which actually blow up the fastest and the most are the ones that actually narrow down and niche down on a small group of people and speak directly to them. As a result, they increase their circle of influence and they expand from there. When you niche down, what you end up doing is you actually create connection between you and the person on the other side of the screen or the person you're talking to. And with that connection builds more trust and you get to grow more rapidly. So if you want to build a strong personal brand, start here with your identity, as in what do you believe, and who your people are, who are you trying to serve. The second pillar of building a personal brand is about connection. Or another way of thinking about it, why should people care about you? Because being remembered isn't enough. There are plenty of people we remember. Politicians, actors, athletes, the local person down the street. But just because someone remembers you doesn't mean they're invested in you. And that's where connection comes in. Connection turns attention into loyalty. It's what transforms someone from being a viewer into a supporter. And here's what's interesting. Most people think that connection is built by sharing more about you. But the truth is, people don't care about you. Well, not initially. They care about themselves, their problems, their goals, frustrations, and fears. And this is where most creators get personal branding completely backwards. They try to make people care about them before they've given people a reason to care. Connection isn't built by talking about yourself. Connection is built by making people feel understood. Think about the creators you follow most closely. They probably talk about content in a way that makes you feel understood. Maybe they understand what it's like to struggle financially with working 50 hours a week. Or they understand what it feels like to be stuck where you're earning money, but you just can't seem to get ahead. Whatever it is, they feel like they get you or you get them. And that feeling is incredibly powerful because most people go through life feeling misunderstood. They feel like nobody truly understands what they're going through. And when they come across a piece of content that speaks directly to them about their problems and their feelings and how their situation is, they finally feel like someone actually understands them and they build a connection with that person. And not because you solved the problem, but because you understood the problem and their situation they're in. And that's one of the biggest lessons I've learned about creating content for the past 12 years, is they don't always follow the person with the best solution. They follow or lean into the person that understands them the best. Now, the second part about connection is vulnerability. And before you click off, because you think that sounds soft, hear me out. The strongest personal brands don't just share victories. They share the struggles. Not because other people enjoy watching people struggle, but because the struggle is relatable. Nobody relates to perfection, but they do think, I know what it's like to fail. I know what it feels like to doubt myself. I know what it feels like to have to start over and over again or not make any progress at all. And when you share those moments honestly, people start to connect with you on a deeper level. This is why journey-based content works so well. It's why people follow creators who are trying to lose weight, pay off debt, or build a business. People aren't necessarily interested in the goal, but they're interested in the human experience behind that person trying to achieve that goal. Because deep down, they're hoping if they can do it, I can do it too. And that's where that connection is actually built. So if you actually want to build a stronger personal brand, don't focus on getting people to admire you. Focus more on helping people feel understood and seen. Talk about their problems, their frustrations, their hardships, and the hardships that you go through and that you've faced yourself in a way that can actually relate to them. Because when people feel understood by you, they begin to follow you. And when they start following you and rooting for you, that's when personal brands stop being about someone to watch and starts being about someone people genuinely care about. Now, the third pillar of building a personal brand is about momentum. As in, why should people keep coming back to you? Because so far we've already covered two important topics. People know who you are and they care about what you're doing. But there's still one problem. If there's no momentum, people will just move on. Think about it like this. We've all followed great creators who post regularly. Then all of a sudden, we just kind of drift off from what they were posting about in their content. We like them, we like what they were posting, but eventually we just stopped paying attention. And not because they got worse, but because there was nothing pulling us back into them. Nothing new was unfolding, nothing for us to kind of check back in. So momentum is what transforms a personal brand from that people occasionally watch and turns it into something that people actively want to follow. And the easiest way to think about this is Netflix. Think about one of your favorite shows on Netflix. You want to binge every single episode because you need to know what's about to happen next. You need to follow what's unfolding. And when there's a season break, you are left wanting to know what's going to happen the next season because they've left you on a cliffhanger. And it's because that episode or each episode leaves you with a question that needs to be answered. And what happens next? And that is momentum. And that exact same psychology applies to great personal brands where people keep coming back over time. Every part of their step or their journey leaves you asking what's about to happen next, or leaves an unanswered question that you need fulfilled. So think about the DoorDash creator I mentioned earlier. You start following his journey because you need to know, does he end up buying that diamond ring? What ends up happening with his journey with his girlfriend, his fiance, what else happens in his life, and anything else he talks about during his journey. Each piece of content leaves you with an unanswered question that needs to be filled. Or think about someone on a general weight loss journey. You follow them because you want to know, are they going to hit their goal? Are they following their plan? What happens on the days where they don't actually stick to the plan, when they go backwards? Do they get back on track quickly? All the other variables, all the other questions which need to be answered over time. And that's what keeps people invested. And some people just kind of don't get it wrong. They always want to try appear polished, like they're the finished product. But the finished product is boring. Everyone already knows what's happened. The audience leaves when there's nothing left to discover. The strongest personal brands understand this, or they give value in a way that you want to keep coming back over time because you get something valuable each and every time you tune into that person. So if you want to create more momentum in your personal brand, ask yourself this question. What is the story people are following in my journey? What mission am I pursuing? When you can create a mission larger than yourself and something that people can relate to, that's when people tend to lean in greatly. One mission I was going to do for myself, which I kind of folded on, was I was going to help my mum retire, but not me give her money, help her build something that keeps her sustainable for over her retirement period. Because one, she just didn't want me to give her money. Two, she needed to find fulfillment and purpose in herself as well. And three, it helped me document my journey of all the things that I've learned over the years to actually help her succeed in what she wanted as well. When you do that correctly, when you build that momentum correctly, you actually build a strong personal brand where people keep coming back to you to tune in and see what you've actually done and your progress. Because your success starts feeling personal to them as well. They might be able to relate to that journey that you're going on or the situation that you're going through and what you actually want to achieve. And when you combine all three of those pillars together, something interesting happens. Identity makes people remember you. Connection makes people care about you. And momentum makes people keep coming back to you. And when people become invested in your story, you stop being another creator on the internet and you become someone they're genuinely excited to actually follow. So if there's one thing I want you to take away from this video, it's this. A personal brand isn't about becoming famous. It's about becoming memorable. And the strongest personal brands aren't built around someone posting more content than someone else. They're built because they feel connected to the person on the other side of the screen and they actually want to follow or lean into that person as well. And that's why we cover those three pillars: identity, connection, and momentum. And when you master those three things, you'll have built something that most people on the internet wouldn't have. A brand people come back to follow, and you can actually leverage that to build a business or grow another avenue of income for yourself as well. And as I said earlier on, one of the biggest assets you can actually have is people's attention. We live in an attention-driven economy these days. People who have got the most attention can build the biggest brands and the biggest businesses. So if you enjoyed this video, don't forget, give us a like, leave me a comment, and follow for the next one.